Ladies and gentlemen, the next contestant in the 2010 Messenger Community News Mortgage Choice Golden Gavel competition from First National Real Estate, Mr. Brad Allan.
Well, in 1868, architects Wright and Woods had a vision to create an environment in which to nourish the souls and the minds of a younger generation in a building that was associated with the first church school in North Adelaide, known as Christ Church School. Little would they have known back then that in 2003, when the current owners acquired this property, that they too had a vision to transform this heritage-listed property into 3 unique and modern apartments that have all the charm and character of a bygone era, blended with modern-day convenience. Now, this vision has temporarily been put on hold until today, as we now pass that opportunity over to one very lucky buyer to add their own vision to this landmark property. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's in-room auction here of number 81 Jeffcott Street, North Adelaide. By way of introduction, my name is Brad Allan and I'll be your auctioneer here today. Acting on behalf of Mr. Andrew Fox, together we represent Fox Real Estate, proud members of the Real Estate Institute of South Australia and the Society of Auctioneers and Appraisers. Now, at this point in time, I'd like to thank the vendors for favouring our company with instructions to act on their behalf today. Now, for those of you that are here to bid, best of luck with your endeavours to secure this amazing property. Now, the auction process today is quite simple. Firstly, I'll run you through the standard terms and conditions associated with today's sale. Secondly, I'll run you through the relevant legalities of the home before pausing for any last-minute questions you may have. Then take you on a tour of the finer points of the home before lastly finishing up with the exciting part today, that is your bidding. Now, today's auction shall be conducted under the standard auction terms and conditions as set down by the Real Estate Institute of South Australia and the Society of Auctioneers and Appraisers. Now, these terms and conditions, together with the Form 1 and all relevant paperwork, including the R3, R4 and R5 forms, have been on display here at the auction for the last 30 minutes or so, as well as the last 3 clear business days at our North Adelaide office for your perusal. Now, if you do intend bidding here today, you must have been registered with ourselves, having satisfied the requirements as to proof of identity and been allocated a bidding number. Now, if you do intend bidding on behalf of another person here today and we've not been notified in writing to that effect, the contract shall be in the bidder's name and/or nominee. Now, I may take bids on behalf of the vendor, no more than 3 such bids, up to but not including the reserve price, and audibly announce these as vendor bids.
1.2 million.
You're a bit early, ma'am. We'll get along with that shortly. I would love to take your bid, but if you can just bear with us, we've just got a few more legalities to run through. Now, the property today will be sold subject to reserve price. Subject to reserve price being obtained at the fall of the hammer, the highest bidder shall become the purchaser. They'll be required to come forward, sign a contract note of sale, along with a 10% deposit with the balance of monies due and payable at settlement date, which has been set down for the 21st day of June 2010. Now, as the auctioneer, I will reserve the right to refuse a bid if I believe it is not in the best interest of the vendor, and at the fall of the hammer, no further bidding shall be accepted. Now, if there are any disputes here today, I, the auctioneer, shall adjudicate those disputes, and my decision shall be final and binding. Now, we're selling under a cash unconditional basis here today with no cooling off rights applicable. Now, finally, at the fall of the hammer, the property will be at your risk, and we do recommend taking out some insurance to cover your equitable interest in the home. Now, moving on to the legal description of the property back to auction, are those pieces of land described in certificates of title book volume 5863 folio 432 and volume 5848 folio 555. These being allotments 15 in file plan 113803 and allotment 10 in file plan 42676 in the area named North Adelaide in the 100 of Yatala, and of course we all know it as number 81 Jeffcott Street, North Adelaide. Now, the rear title is subject to an easement of just over 3 metres wide, clearly marked A on the CT, with a right of way of the landmark B on that CT as well. Now, that right of way does have access from Ward Street. Now, the title fronting Jeffcott Street is subject to and together with the party wall rights marked A and B over that as it adjoins that rear property. Now, the property is also state heritage listed and is located in the Adelaide City Council in the Carclew policy area. Now, the property is being sold as an as you see it, as you buy it basis buyers. The sale, all the remaining building materials, anything else you see, the property is sold as inspected. Now, buyers, that completes the necessaries for today's auction. Are there any questions out there regarding the auction or the sale process here today?
Yes, Mr. Auctioneer. Should I be the successful purchaser, I'd like to perhaps cut off that rear allotment and build a second house. Would that be possible?
Possibly, sir. You probably have to make your inquiries regarding with council with that. It is a heritage listed home, but that title doesn't appear to have any buildings on it. You would have to check in regards to open space and frontage requirements and everything else. So, unfortunately, you probably have to make your own inquiries with the council. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Well, thank you and good luck with your bidding if you intend to do so. Are there any other questions out there? Well, buyers, if there's no further queries, before we get away with your bidding, let's have a bit of a quick chat about this fantastic location we find ourselves in, one of Adelaide's most sought-after inner-city suburbs. You're pretty much just 5 minutes to everywhere with the shopping and cafes, just minutes away on O'Connell Street. You could find yourself taking in the cosmopolitan lifestyle whilst having a drink at the Oxford, maybe a bite at Scuzzy's, or if you're after something for a bit of a change of pace, catch a movie down the end of the street at one of Adelaide's few remaining character cinemas. If you're after a bit more variety, Adelaide CBD is just on your fingertips, or maybe if cricket's your thing, you might find yourself down there on Australia Day with Adelaide Oval not far down the road. Now, this sensational locality, but we're actually auctioning the property here today. This architecturally designed limestone heritage listed property is set on some 2 titles of some 1,290 square metres of prime land here in this beautiful tree-lined street surrounded by other quality homes. Now, as I've said earlier, this property does require vision, and for the right person, the possibilities are endless. For the developers, the plans are in place, there's a few building materials remaining. Simply come in and complete the masterpiece that these current owners have started. This includes a partial development with approvals for 3 residences, the main with substantial improvements already made, with that staircase leading up to the 2 bedrooms and bathrooms that are proposed. And they overlook the character ceilings such as the character features such as the high ceilings and those Baltic floors. The 2 other apartments are in their infant stages of redevelopment. You've got the outbuildings at the back there where residence 3 would be placed. You've got the beautiful Jarrah floorboards, the high ceilings, and that would overlook a beautiful spacious courtyard. Now, parking has been carefully considered whilst doing this development, and each residence is fitted with their own private double garage. Now, on the other hand, if you're looking to create your own city mansion, simply redesign it into one dwelling to suit your needs, to incorporate maybe a swimming pool, who knows, hit of tennis subject to consents, and then the option of possibly selling that second title to fund some future renovations. Now, North Adelaide will be one of Adelaide's most sought-after areas and has experienced amazing growth